My wife, 31 years old, and I, 30 years old, have been married for 5 years now. I work mainly in accounting and personal finance advice, while my wife is a math teacher at our local high school. Recently, I've been researching and preparing to start a bee colony, as I've been interested in bees for a long time, and have recently reached a place financially where both my wife and I are able to pay bills and have bees. Before I did anything, I spoke with my wife about my research and planned to get the bees. At first, she had some apprehensions, but we talked through them. Once we were both on the same page, I found an artificial beehive and contacted a professional beekeeper to help with the bee process. And so I began my bee journey. A week or two later, my wife comes home while I'm making dinner and tells me she invited a few work friends, all 31 years old, over for dinner tomorrow. I say that's fine and continue making dinner until she requests that I move my beehive. The exchange went something like this. Wife, while I clean the house, would you mind moving your hive? It's an eyesore. Me, I'm sorry, but what do you mean by eyesore? It's outside and has plenty of distance between itself and the house. Wife, I know, but I want it further back. It doesn't match the house, and I don't want my work friends thinking I let this house go into chaos when I'm not around. At this point, I had finished dinner and was setting up the table when I asked her, why is this an issue now? Didn't we agree on the placement before I even got the hive? And besides, it's hard to move a hive once it's been placed. Where were you thinking of moving it? She responded that she didn't care. She just didn't want to see it. After that, we sat down for dinner, and I asked again where she wanted me to move the hive, stating that the closest forest wasn't on our property, and the second option would be by the back porch. My wife repeated her answer that she didn't care. She just didn't want to see it. We continued on as normal. We ate, we cleaned the house in preparation, did our respective nighttime routines, then went to bed. The next day, my wife and I wake up around 5 a.m., do our morning routines, eat breakfast, and head to work. Around 4 o'clock, my wife calls me while I'm still at work. The high school gets done around 3 o'clock. I excuse myself from a conversation I was having with a coworker and go to a quiet corner of the break room. I pick up and my wife starts screaming at me that I didn't move the hive, and now her work friends have to see my hideous beehive. I try to get her to calm down by apologizing and saying I forgot, and that I can drive over and move it quickly. My wife cuts me off and says it's too late, and she'll do it herself before she hangs up. I'm standing in the break room, confused and angry. So I try to focus on my work and deal with it later. I get home that night to my wife sitting at the table reading her book. She welcomes me home and I ask about her day. She says it was good, a little stressful, but nothing I couldn't handle. I then decide to bite the bullet and ask about the hive and how she handled it. Wife, oh yeah, your bees, I almost forgot. It was hard moving the beehive because the bees kept stinging me. So when I tried to set it down, it fell and broke. I left it there because it is your hive after all. Me, you broke my hive? How long has it been sitting like that? Wife, it's been like that since I called you. I looked out of the window to see my hive lying on the ground. Parts of the walls were broken, as well as the legs and other crucial parts of the hive. When I took a step outside to get a closer look, I saw my bees flying around, unsure of where to go. I called the beekeeper contact and asked for a description of the damage. When I told him, he said that there isn't much he can do, but he'll call a friend to try and fix the things they can. I thanked him, hung up the phone, and walked back inside, feeling defeated. When I re-entered the house, I walked upstairs without even glancing at my wife. I took a shower and cried. My dream of having a beehive of my own was gone, and there wasn't much I could do. When I got out of the shower, my wife was already in bed. I crawled in next to her and laid awake for hours, questioning our relationship. If she really loves me, why didn't she leave the hive alone? I have been contemplating divorce, as I realized that after she destroyed my hive, she has never once apologized, nor does she seem empathetic in the slightest. I tried asking for an apology, and all I got was, why should I apologize for doing you a favor? I never asked for an apology since, and I'm wondering how I never noticed this behavior from her before. And I don't know what to do. Deep down, I still love her, but she also can't understand why I'm so upset. What should I do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I'm calling serious nonsense on this story. No way did she break the hive, moving it during the day to boot, and not get stung to absolute shite by the bees for breaking their home. This woman is irritated by the sight of the beehive, but wouldn't be bothered by the angry swarm that would have been going mental for hours? Okay then. Fake story is fake. Comment 2. What really upset me is when she said she did you a favor. What kind of twisted logic is that? You loved your bees. You're heartbroken for these creatures. You've been planning this for years. She did herself a favor and got rid of them because she didn't like them, and that's messed up. Now for the update. Thank you for tuning in again. So, things have been pretty rough since the last time I talked about the whole beehive mess. I thought that was the worst of it, but boy, was I wrong. Just when I thought we could maybe work things out, my wife did something that made me question everything. A month after the hive incident, I was still picking up the pieces, literally. I managed to salvage some parts of the hive, but the bees were long gone. I was heartbroken, but I tried to focus on work to keep my mind off things. Then, out of nowhere, my wife tells me she's been offered a promotion. Great news, right? Well, the catch was that the promotion would require us to move to another state. She was excited, but all I could think about was how this would affect my plans to restart the bee colony. I tried to be supportive, but deep down, I was torn. I didn't want to leave my job, and I had just started to make connections with local beekeeping groups. But I also didn't want to hold my wife back from a great opportunity. We argued about it for weeks, with her saying I was being selfish, and me feeling like she didn't care about what I wanted. Then, things took a turn for the worse. I found out from a mutual friend that my wife had been telling people at her work that I was on board with the move and that I was just being dramatic at home for attention. I couldn't believe it. She was lying to her friends about me, making me out to be the bad guy. I felt betrayed. It was like she was trying to force my hand by making me look bad to our friends. I confronted her about it, and she just shrugged it off, saying it was easier to tell people that than to explain our private issues. That's when I knew we had a real problem. It wasn't just about the bees anymore. It was about trust and respect. I started to think back to other times in our relationship where she might have twisted the truth. There was that time she told her family I was thrilled about spending Christmas with them, when I had actually wanted to visit my own family. Or the time she convinced me to sell my old car, saying it was a money pit, only to turn around and buy a brand new car for herself a few months later. I was starting to see a pattern, and I didn't like it. It felt like she was always putting her wants and needs above mine, and I was just supposed to go along with it. I started to talk to some friends about it, and they were shocked. They had always seen us as the perfect couple, but now they were seeing a different side to her too. As the moving date got closer, I felt more and more trapped. I didn't want to move, but I also didn't want to be the reason my wife didn't take a job that could be great for her career. It was like I was stuck in a tough situation. Then, the day before we were supposed to start packing, I made a decision. I told my wife I wasn't going with her. I expected her to be angry, to argue, but she just looked at me and said, "Fine, I'll go without you." Just like that, she was ready to leave me behind. I was shocked. I had expected a fight, but it was like she had already made up her mind that she was going with or without me. It made me wonder if she had ever really cared about what I wanted at all. So here I am now, sitting in our empty house, wondering if I made the right choice. It's been a few days since she left, and it's been tough. I miss her, but I also feel like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I'm starting to make plans to rebuild my bee colony, and I'm looking forward to not having to compromise on everything. It's not the update I thought I'd be giving, but it's where I'm at. I guess sometimes you have to make tough choices to find out where your true loyalties lie. Thank you for reading. Aita for accidentally hitting my girlfriend during a discomforting sexual encounter. And now she's making me pay. So I'm 20 and I accidentally punched my girlfriend, who is 24 years old, in the side about 3 or 4 days ago, but she's still not talking to me. I want to fix this since it was an accident, but I don't know how to get her to talk to me. Me and my girlfriend have been together for about 8 months now, and I really, really like her. She's sweet, pretty, funny, a total nerd like me, and she likes Dark Souls, my dream girl. She's also a little bit older, which I'm into. She's kind of weird also, but in the fun, quirky way. She's an amazing partner and is very supportive of the stupid things I do, and I say this so no one gets the wrong idea about her. My girlfriend likes to experiment a lot and has a super open mind. She's always telling me about something mid to super weird or underground that I've never heard of that she wants to try. It can be anything. Food, positions, hobbies, clothes, or whatever. Around last week, she mentioned some bedroom things involving a more dominatrix vibe. I was cool with this part, but then she brought up the specifics of what she wanted to try. She wanted to try pegging, and I didn't. She had been watching the videos and doing her research, trying to convince me, but I just wasn't on board with it. Usually I try everything else with little to no resistance, but I'm just not with this one. She was pretty sad about it and sort of sulked for a while, but I wasn't changing my mind. Every time after the first no, I wasn't exactly firm, since I love my girlfriend and I didn't want her to be sad. I made it obvious I was uncomfortable with it and didn't want to try it, but whenever she brought it up, I just kind of awkwardly said, "Haha, I don't know, babe," and quickly changed the subject. Usually this worked and she dropped the subject. I thought she got the message. I don't know, I should have been more obvious in hindsight. It's my fault for not putting my foot down and sitting her down to tell her that I was serious. I was the first time, but I think I might have given her mixed signals when I just changed the subject and awkwardly disagreed. Well, anyways, a few days ago she tried it. She dressed up pretty and I was excited. She started her whole dommy mommy thing and I was getting really into it. Maybe this is why she thought I would be okay with it. She was on top of me and put her finger near my butt. And honestly, I didn't notice at first because we were kissing and she was being really hot. You know how it is. But then she put her finger in and I automatically felt that and punched her without thinking. I punched her in the side and she pulled it out, which hurt like frick. And I pushed her off of me rough. She fell back onto the edge of the bed, I think, which was good. Because I wasn't trying to hurt her in the first place. It was just reflex. She started crying and screamed at me, asking what the frick, and I didn't know what to do. She was yelling at me while I was trying to apologize, but it wasn't working and she got dressed and left. I called and texted a lot, but she wouldn't answer me back. I'm scared to lose her. She's amazing and I feel really bad for punching her. It's been a few days, like I said, and I don't know what to do. She's been staying with her friend. How can I fix this? I didn't mean to punch her. It was just reflex. So yeah, I miss her, want her back, and feel like an idiot. How can I fix this? Edit. Yeah, we're not staying together. She's still not answering me and we're on the same lease. But I don't want to stay with her after this. Thanks for helping me out, guys. I might update with the breakup if anyone wants to hear that cares. Thanks for the funny Dark Souls comments. Someone said, she should have parried my punch, and I laughed so hard I spit water on my monitor. Don't let pretty nerdy girls stick fingers in your butt if you said no. It's okay to punch them if they do it anyways. So yeah, thanks again, guys. Might update with the breakup if anyone cares and wants that. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Yo, what? She non-consensually put her finger in your pooper. I'd punch her too. What the heck? Bro, if you were a girl, the hysteria that would be in these comments would be insane. And then she acts like it's your fault? Bro, Dark Souls enjoyment is not a reason to stay with someone who doesn't know what the heck a boundary is. Comment 2. Get her to forgive you? You should not need forgiveness from someone who violated you. The fact that it's been 3-4 days and she hasn't come to her senses and realized that what she did was totally messed up shows you what kind of person she is. If I were her, I would be apologizing to you relentlessly. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around after my last post. Here's what went down since then. So after the whole punching incident, things just spiraled. I thought it couldn't get worse, but oh, it did. My girlfriend, or I guess ex now, she did something that made my blood boil. She went and told all our friends her side of the story, leaving out the part where she ignored me saying no. Suddenly, I'm the bad guy in everyone's eyes. I tried to explain, but who's going to listen to me over her? Then, out of nowhere, she decides to move out. Just like that. Packs her bags and leaves. No discussion, no warning. I come home to half the apartment empty. I'm talking furniture, TV, even the damn toaster. And the lease? Still in both our names. She didn't care. She just bailed, leaving me to deal with the mess. I was mad, sure, but also kind of relieved. I mean, after everything, maybe this was for the best. But then the landlord calls. She's not paying her half of the rent anymore. Great, right? Now I'm stuck with the full bill in a half-empty apartment. I had to get a second job just to make ends meet. I'm working like a dog, barely have time to sleep. And the friends, most of them took her side. I've got like 2 buddies left who believe me. It's a mess. But here's where I screwed up. I was so tired, so stressed. I just wanted some comfort, you know? So I called her. Big mistake. I thought maybe we could talk it out. Maybe she'd see reason. Nope. She just yelled at me, said I was harassing her, and hung up. Now I'm the ex who can't let go. Just great. And the kicker? She's already seeing someone else. Some guy she met at her new job. I saw them together at the grocery store. She looked right at me and smirked. Like she won. Like she got everything she wanted and left me in the dust. I'm trying to keep it together, but it's hard. I miss her despite everything. I miss what we had before all this, but I guess that's gone now. I've got to figure out how to move on, but it's tough. Anyway, thanks for reading. I'll keep you posted if anything else happens. Aita for siding with my girlfriend. After she canceled the Mother's Day flowers, I ordered for my ex. I, 39-year-old male, have 2 daughters from a past relationship that ended about 15 years ago. If you do the math, you'll see that my ex, 38-year-old female, and I had our children rather young. Both of my daughters are over 16 years old. My eldest is a 19-year-old female, and her sister is still a minor. The mother of my children and I have definitely had our ups and downs. But over the last 10 years, we have put our differences and bitterness aside for the well-being of our children. I see my daughters often and have wonderful relationships with both of them. The problem comes from an argument I had with my girlfriend, 39-year-old female, earlier today. I come home from my lunch break. My girlfriend is working on her laptop on the couch. I start to make lunch in the kitchen, and I remember that I had wanted to call a local flower shop to pre-order some flowers for Mother's Day. I called the floral shop and ordered 2 arrangements, one for the mother of my kids and the other for my mother. After I finish the call, I hang up and take my lunch into the living room, where my girlfriend immediately glares at me over her computer. I ask her what's wrong, and she flips out. Her argument is the following. 1. It's disrespectful to her, as my girlfriend, to be buying my ex flowers. 2. I didn't place any order to buy her flowers, since she is a stepmom. 3. My daughters are old enough to where I shouldn't have to talk to my ex anymore. I argue back that I have always bought flowers for their mother on Mother's Day. This makes her more upset because she was unaware. She claims she needs to be aware of any and all gifts I give to my ex. I tell her that buying her flowers for Mother's Day is unnecessary because she isn't a stepmom. I had this conversation with my eldest daughter about 2 years ago when I was about to ask my now girlfriend out. My daughter told me then that she didn't want another mom or a stepmom because she already had a mom and felt she was too old to add another maternal or paternal figure into her life. She is respectful of my girlfriend, but both of my daughters call her by her name. She isn't a stepmom. I made her cry, and that wasn't my intention. However, I did want to make the boundary very clear that my ex will always be in the picture. We had this conversation before we started dating. It's not like once my daughters turn 18, we no longer need to speak ever again. We have been through a lot and are completely civil. I want to emphasize that there is nothing there with my ex anymore, but we will share the same grandchildren and children for the rest of our lives. I wanted to set that boundary now out of respect for my daughters, if anything. I don't want my girlfriend to influence my co-parenting situation at all, but how do I keep the peace while standing my ground? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Hi. I think something more is going on with your girlfriend. Is it possible she feels like she is on the outside of your family when she really wants to be inside with the 4 of you? I obviously don't know, but it might be a good idea to ask. There's no reason for her to be upset if it really is just about the flowers. I actually think that's really nice of you to do. Your ex is the mother of your kids. I hope she gives you the same kindness. If more people were this way, then the world would be a lot kinder. Comment 2. My wife and I have often discussed how we would be as parents should, the gods forbid, we ever split for the sake of our son. This is exactly how I would hope we'd be. You're not buying flowers for your ex. You're buying flowers for the mother of your kids. You are showing your daughters that just because you don't love each other as you once did, you still respect and care for them as another human being. Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around to hear more. So, after the whole flower fiasco, things went from bad to worse. My girlfriend, let's call her Jane, decided to take matters into her own hands. She went behind my back and canceled the flower order for my ex. I didn't find out until the florist called to confirm the cancellation. I was floored. I couldn't believe Jane would stoop so low. It was a move that reeked of jealousy and pettiness. I confronted her about it, and she admitted to doing it because she felt it would force me to acknowledge her role in my life. She wanted to be recognized as more than just my girlfriend. She wanted to be seen as a part of my family. I tried to explain that undermining my relationship with my ex wasn't the way to do it, but she wasn't having any of it. In the midst of all this, my youngest daughter caught wind of what was happening. She was furious. She told me that if Jane was going to act like this, she didn't want her around. My eldest tried to play peacemaker, suggesting we all sit down and talk it out. I agreed, thinking it was a good idea. But that was my mistake. The meeting was a disaster. Voices were raised, accusations were thrown, and in the heat of the moment, I sided with Jane. I told my daughters that while their feelings mattered, Jane was important to me, and they needed to give her a chance. I thought I was doing the right thing, trying to blend my family together. But I was wrong. My daughters felt betrayed. They couldn't understand why I'd side with someone who had shown such disrespect for our family dynamic. They left the house that day, and things have been tense ever since. My ex got involved, furious that I'd let someone interfere with the co-parenting respect we'd worked so hard to build. And then, as if things couldn't get any more complicated, Jane dropped a news. She was pregnant. It was unexpected, and it threw everything into chaos. I was going to be a father again, and now I had to consider what this meant for all of us. I wanted to believe that this could be a new beginning, that maybe this baby would bring us all together. But deep down, I knew it was wishful thinking. Jane's actions had driven a wedge between my daughters and me, and now there was a baby on the way. I tried to reach out to my daughters to explain and apologize, but they were hurt. They felt I had chosen Jane over them, and I couldn't convince them otherwise. I was stuck between the family I had and the family I was about to have, and I couldn't see a way to bring them together. The aftermath was a mess of emotions and strained relationships. I was trying to keep everyone happy, but in doing so, I was making everyone miserable, including myself. I had made the wrong choice, and I didn't even know it. Thanks for reading. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.